Today's discussion centers on a fresh wave of royal headlines that has people talking from California to London, and for once the tone feels surprisingly hopeful. Instead of another tired feud narrative or recycled tabloid drama, what we're seeing is something far more interesting. A slow shift in attitude, a little more understanding behind palace walls, and continued proof that Prince Harry and Meghan are building a life defined by purpose rather than protocol. And honestly, it's about time the story reflected that. For years, critics have tried to paint the Duke and Duchess of Sussex as disruptive simply because they chose independence. Yet every time a new chapter unfolds, the same pattern appears. They step forward with compassion, with action, with real-world impact, while the rumour mill spins itself dizzy. That contrast is becoming impossible to ignore. The noise grows louder, but their work speaks even louder than that. Recent chatter suggests that even within royal circles, perspectives may be softening. There are whispers that doors aren't as firmly closed as they once seemed, that empathy has begun to replace some of the frostier attitudes of the past. And whether those shifts are large or small, they matter, because empathy changes everything. It's the difference between clinging to grudges and recognizing that family, humanity, and basic decency should always come first. It's interesting how time has a way of doing what arguments never could. Distance often brings clarity. When the dust settles, what remains are the facts. Harry and Meghan didn't step away to cause chaos. They stepped away to protect their peace, their safety, and their children. And when you look at it through that lens, their decision feels less controversial and more courageous. Meanwhile, their life in California continues to look refreshingly grounded. Instead of endless ceremonies and carefully staged balcony waves, their days revolve around school runs, creative projects, and meaningful causes. It's modern, relatable, and real. And that authenticity is precisely why so many people across the globe connect with them. Security and privacy remain priorities, especially when travel to the UK is discussed. Anyone with common sense understands why. The media frenzy surrounding them has never been mild. Choosing safe conditions for visits isn't diva behaviour, it's responsible parenting. Protecting your family shouldn't be controversial, yet somehow critics still try to frame it that way. Thankfully, most people see through that narrative now. If Meghan does accompany Harry for upcoming events connected to the Invictus community, it will likely feel less like a royal return and more like a reunion with a cause close to their hearts. Because that's what truly motivates them. Not pageantry, not photo ops, purpose. And Invictus remains one of the clearest examples of Harry's lifelong commitment to service. Long before any media storm, he was championing wounded veterans and creating a space where resilience is celebrated. The Games aren't just a sporting event, they're a lifeline. A reminder that life after injury still holds strength, pride, and possibility. You can see it in every athlete's face. Meghan's support behind the scenes often goes unnoticed by the press, but it's there. Organising, encouraging, connecting families, amplifying stories. She has a knack for making people feel seen. That kind of quiet leadership doesn't always generate splashy headlines, but it creates lasting change. That's the pattern with her work overall. While tabloids debate outfits or facial expressions, she's focusing on initiatives that actually improve lives. Women returning to the workforce, girls gaining access to education, families receiving resources they desperately need. It's the kind of impact that doesn't trend on social media for a day and disappear. It sticks. Take her long-standing involvement with organisations that help women build confidence and careers. Providing professional clothing, interview preparation, mentorship, those things might sound simple, but they can completely transform someone's trajectory. A single opportunity can change an entire family's future. That's powerful, and it's telling that she consistently chooses substance over spectacle. She could easily attend glittering galas every week and call it a day. Instead, she rolls up her sleeves and works directly with communities. Listening first, acting second. That order matters. The same goes for their foundation's broader mission. Whether it's mental health awareness, online safety for kids, or disaster relief, they tend to gravitate toward issues that affect everyday people. Not abstract concepts, real challenges, real solutions, real follow-through. Compare that with the old model of royalty, where appearances sometimes felt like the main event. Wave, smile, cut ribbon, leave. Harry and Meghan flipped that script. For them, showing up is just the beginning. The actual goal is measurable results, and you can't deny the ripple effect. Young people especially see them as role models, not because of titles, but because of transparency. They talk openly about therapy, about burnout, about grief, about growth. That honesty resonates in a world where so many public figures hide behind perfect images. Harry, speaking about mental health, for example, has encouraged countless others to do the same. When someone with his background admits vulnerability, it chips away at stigma. It tells people it's okay to ask for help. That message alone has probably saved lives. There's also something refreshing about the way they laugh through the chaos. Every time a dramatic headline pops up, they seem to respond not with panic, but with focus. It's almost comical when you think about it. One day, the press claims they're fading away. The next day, they're dominating the spotlight. Which is it? The contradictions say more about the coverage than about them. If anything, the constant scrutiny has sharpened their resolve. Instead of retreating, they've built stronger networks, smarter strategies, and more independence. It's like watching someone turn criticism into fuel. The louder the noise gets, the clearer their direction becomes. There's also the family dimension that people sometimes forget. At the end of the day, they're parents first. Their children aren't thinking about palace politics. They're thinking about play dates, bedtime stories, and sunny afternoons. Creating a stable, loving environment for them is naturally the top priority. And who could argue with that? When discussions arise about grandparents wanting to see their grandchildren more often, it reminds everyone that behind the headlines are real relationships, real emotions. It's not a soap opera, it's a family trying to navigate complicated circumstances under a microscope. A little compassion goes a long way. Public attitudes seem to be shifting too. More viewers are questioning sensational narratives and looking at actions instead. And when you look at the actions of the Sussexes, the picture is pretty clear. Service, advocacy, consistency. It's almost funny how often their critics underestimate them. Every few months, someone declares they're finished, and then they launch another project, partner with another organisation, or spotlight another important issue. They just keep moving, steady, focused, unbothered. That steady momentum is probably what frustrates the gossip columns most. Drama sells, but stability doesn't. Yet stability is exactly what Harry and Meghan are building. A sustainable life. A sustainable impact, something that lasts longer than a scandal cycle. Even their creative ventures follow that philosophy. Thoughtful storytelling. documentaries with heart, conversations that center healing and growth. They're not chasing shock value, they're curating meaning. And in today's oversaturated media world, meaning stands out. It also helps that they seem genuinely comfortable being themselves. No stiff scripts, no forced smiles, just two people who figured out what matters to them and aren't afraid to prioritize it. That confidence is contagious. Of course, there will always be critics. That's inevitable, but the difference now is that the criticism feels tired, almost repetitive. Meanwhile, their work keeps evolving. New partnerships, new ideas, new communities reached. Progress tends to outlast negativity. And when you zoom out, the bigger picture becomes clear. They represent a different kind of public service, one that isn't bound by tradition or geography. They can collaborate globally, respond quickly, and innovate in ways older systems simply can't. Freedom has made them more effective, not less. There's a certain irony in how stepping away from formal duties allowed them to serve more people than ever before. Without rigid protocols, they can go straight to the heart of issues. Less ceremony, more impact. It's a trade-off many modern audiences appreciate. Moments of levity help too. You have to laugh sometimes at the dramatic speculation. One harmless appearance turns into a week-long debate. A simple gesture becomes a statement. Meanwhile, they're probably just trying to get through their day like the rest of us. The exaggeration can feel almost sitcom-level ridiculous. But through it all, their tone stays remarkably positive. They rarely retaliate, rarely engage in back and forths. They let their project speak for them. That restraint takes discipline. Not everyone could manage it under such intense scrutiny. And that's perhaps their greatest strength. Consistency. Not flashy comebacks, not grand declarations, just steady, ongoing work, month after month, year after year, building something meaningful brick by brick. As supporters, it's satisfying to watch that growth, to see initiatives expand, to see communities benefit, to see smiles that aren't forced but earned. Because at the end of the day, that's what really counts. Not the headlines, but the human impact. If the past few years have proven anything, it's that Harry and Meghan thrive when they follow their instincts. Every time they choose authenticity over expectation, things seem to align. Their story becomes less about escaping something and more about creating something better. And that's a narrative worth celebrating. Not conflict, not rivalry, not endless palace intrigue. Growth, compassion, service. The kind of story that actually inspires people rather than exhausting them. So, as new chapters unfold and travel plans, family moments and charitable projects continue to develop, one thing feels certain. They're not slowing down. If anything, they're just getting started. More focused, more experienced, more determined. The world doesn't need perfect figures on pedestals. It needs relatable leaders who show up, listen and help. Harry and Meghan fit that description far more than the old stereotypes ever did. They're redefining what influence looks like in the modern era. And honestly, watching that transformation is far more interesting than any tabloid drama could ever be. Because real change, real kindness, and real dedication will always outshine gossip. If you've enjoyed breaking down these updates and celebrating the positive momentum around the Sussex journey, make sure you stay connected with the channel. Subscribe, follow along, and be part of a community that values facts, empathy, and a little humour along the way. And if you'd like to support the work we do here, your contributions help keep these conversations going. Until next time, keep the energy hopeful, keep the perspective balanced, And remember, purpose always speaks louder than noise.